Today's session is titled Kara's Technology, and we'll be joined by Chicago-based label Rebirth Garments, represented by Sky Kubaku, and Hong Kong-based social enterprise Reese, represented by Ophelia Kang and Kadri Kang, to explore the creation of tailor-made garments for marginalized bodies. The discussion will be moderated by Brenda Rodriguez Alegre, lecturer in gender studies at the University of Hong Kong. So without further ado, I will now turn the time over to Dr. Brenda.
Hi, hello. Mabuhay everyone, and that means hello from us in the Philippines, and we're very, very happy to have you here today. Thank you to all of our attendees and our participants for joining us, and this is the first in a series of discussions panel exploring poetic emergences. And so for today, our focus is on understanding care and technology. And actually, we'll be looking at intersectionality and how, because intersectionality is about weaving, you know, and there is like literal weaving in this process, as there is also social weaving in the process. And I'm very, very delighted and so honored to be moderating our panel for today. And we will begin first with our first panelist, who will be introducing the great work that they have been doing in Chicago. Incidentally, they are also a fellow part Filipina, Filipinx, who's based in the US. And without further ado, and to tell us more about what they do in Rebirth, with Rebirth Garments, this is Sky Kubaku. Sky?
Hello.
Hi, Sky.
Hello, Dr. Brenda. Hello, everyone.
What time is it now in Chicago?
It's 9:35 p.m. So that's like late-ish at night, but I stay up really late usually, so it's not too bad.
Thank you so much for joining us today. And I'm going to give you the floor. Please feel free to talk more about the work that you do, about yourself, of course, your advocacy, and of course, tell us more about Rebirth Garments.
Cool.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you. I'll first give a visual description of what I look like, just so that folks who are blind or visually impaired or have low vision can understand what I look like. And then I'll have you all see a little video of some of my work. So I am a small Filipinx person. I'm non-binary and I use they, them pronouns. I have makeup that looks like a tattoo under my eye. It's like spiky geometric shapes. I have purple lipstick. I have a scale mail, which is a type of chainmail armor headpiece on my head in pink, purple, turquoise, and yellow. I have giant gold glitter earrings of the queer crip symbol, which is a symbol that I created using the transgender symbol smashed together with the new accessibility icon, which has like a more active looking wheelchair user. And then I'm wearing some of my own clothing in a dazzle camo black and white button-down business square shirt and a little blazer with my my late father, who's my Filipino parent, his paintings on my blazer. So I started my clothing line, Rebirth Garments, in 2014, and it's for queer and trans people with disabilities of all sizes and ages. And the video that I'm going to have play right now is a new trailer to a kids' TV show that I will be working on making. I've been working the past year with the Chicago Public Library. Wait, maybe pause it so we can listen to this song. I've been working the past year with the Chicago Public Library on a queer fashion curriculum called Radical Fit, and this is kind of the continuation of it for younger kids.
It's Sky, say hi, let's spread our wings and fly. Let's rock, let's roll, you ready? Here we go. It's Sky and the Rebirth Warriors. warriors, our adventures will be glorious. Sky and the rebirth warriors, our fashion is notorious. There's a place in me that's just like you, cause I got love and you got love too. There's a place in you that's just like me, cause we both have LOVE. Sky and the rebirth warriors, our adventures will be glorious. Sky and the rebirth warriors, our fashion is notorious. It's sky, say hi, let's spread our wings and fly. Let's rock, let's roll, and strike your favorite pose.
Yay. Yeah, so that is a show that hopefully me and my sweetheart, girlfriend, partner, person, Sandra, aka Collectivo Multipolar, who I can see in the chat is here today. We'll be working on making this video or this TV show in the summer and after the summer, and we'll see how that goes. But yeah, so after I started my clothing line, Rebirth Garments, I wrote a manifesto to go along with it so that I could kind of talk about my my ideology behind the clothing line, and it's called Radical Visibility, a queer crip dress reform movement manifesto. And that word queer crip is like the politicized version of queer and disabled. So it's all about taking up space visually, physically, auditorily, just in every way as people with marginalized identities, queer folks, trans folks, disabled folks, people of color, fat and plus size folks. And yeah, that's what I am about. I think we'll show another video of one of my performances, and in July 2nd for you all, July 1st for me, we're going to have a party called Access Breach at Eaton Hotel, and it'll be a little dance party similar to this one. This was at the Museum of Contemporary Art here in Chicago. And this is a collaborative show where the garments were made by me and the two other people who you just saw dancing, Compton Q and Jake Vogues. And we call ourselves, when we're working together, the Radical Visibility Collective. So yeah, I like to do shows that are more like dance parties rather than boring catwalk kind of angry walking style runways, because I want to show that my clothing lets people fully move in every way possible and in whatever way their bodies move best. So that's why I like to do these fun celebrations, and I hope that you all can join us for Access Breach party in July. If not in real life, then on Zoom, because I'll be on Zoom, zooming in from Chicago. And, ooh, sorry. Yeah, this show had songs with audio descriptive lyrics so that all of the garments were described by the music so that blind and visually impaired folks could understand what was going on with the performance, which is usually not a access need that people kind of recognize as necessary. And you all can check out my Vimeo for the full performances, and you can listen to the songs. And oh, you could see in the back my girlfriend with her camera taking the photos. And yeah, we like to have lots of bright colors and patterns to just really make it so that we cannot be ignored and you can really see us. And every garment is made with the model's wants and desires in mind. So each person, I ask what clothing would make what would be more accessible to their bodies, what would show off their gender expression best, what parts of their body they want to highlight, what parts they feel vulnerable about, and what parts they feel vulnerable about but want to highlight in this context. And that's how I come up with these outfits for each person and make them exactly to their measurements. So yeah, that's all I have to say.
Thank you so much, Sky. I just have a few questions. And maybe my questions are also, would likely be the questions of our audience as well. So first, are you coming to, I mean, like, is Rebirth eventually opening here in Hong Kong and beyond Chicago?
Yeah, so I've done lots of shows outside of Chicago in the past. This show will be the first one since COVID has happened, but I will be here in Chicago. I'm going to mail all of the garments, and then you all will dance, including you, Dr. Brenda, right? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
It was supposed to be a surprise.
Oh, okay.
But I'm excited. I'm really excited.
No
yeah.
one said anything.
Yes. I'm also curious, or maybe others are curious as well. Why Rebirth? Why call it Rebirth? And what is the significance of Rebirth to you?
For me, I call it Rebirth because I've always been kind of radically, visibly mentally ill, or now the term is also mad, like madness. But I didn't really have too much physical disabilities until I was 21. And then my stomach stopped working properly. So I had to stop wearing most of the clothing that I had because it was all too painful for my stomach. And I took off time from college, and I had been dreaming about making some sort of clothing line since I was very young. I was making a lot of very extravagant chainmail garments when I was younger, and it wasn't until I got very sick that then I was like, oh, I want to just like do this clothing line. Originally, it was only going to be originally it was going to be two separate clothing lines. One that was transgender undergarments and gender affirming undergarments, and then one that was clothing for folks with disabilities. But then I decided that there must be other people like me who are both queer and trans and disabled, and I would like to make it into one clothing line. But like right before I started it, I was having so many panic attacks all the time, and my stomach, I couldn't eat, and I was just feeling really miserable as a person. So I decided that I wanted to be a new person where I still had these disabilities and still had my mental illness, but I used it for positive rather than feeling just like very negative about it. So I had what I call a rebirthing ceremony, but it wasn't connected to any sort of religion or anything, where I just was like, I'm going to be a new person, which I feel like a lot of trans folks and queer folks, when they come out or when they decide to change their name or change their pronouns, like can feel like that is a rebirthing of sorts. So I just felt like it was really perfect as the name for my clothing line, because I was like, we all are constantly like rebirthing ourselves. Maybe we are becoming totally new people, maybe it's just small changes, but I love this idea of always trying to make yourself new and make yourself more you.
Thank you. I mean, that's really a very inspiring story. Of course, hopefully, we all have our own health concerns every now and then, but I do hope everything's okay with you at this point, especially during the pandemic, which can make things worse, right?
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
sorry, my dog.
Oh, hello also to your other friend. Would you like to introduce your friend to everyone?
Oh, DOG just ran away, but when she comes back, I'll have her wave
Yeah.
to the camera.
Yeah, actually, when you were talking about rebirth and then looking at you at this point and looking at how beautiful, the mix of all the colors are with you, I'm also reminded of the mythical phoenix. So, and what it stands for. Like,
Yeah.
for an avid comic fan, for some who
Yes.
have been reading Marvel comics, for ever since, But I'm just reminded of the great power that the phoenix wields supposedly and what it represents. So it represents
Totally.
rebirth indeed, right? And just like
Yeah.
what you mentioned, like some, not all, but some trans folks who choose, to undergo a transitioning experience. When they transition, they actually assign a new birth date for themselves.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
right? Do you have friends who have also done the same?
Oh yeah, I think I have the most more like spectacle-y type, like this is a rebirth thing, but a lot of my friends, especially since seeing my rebirthing ceremony, have been like, oh, now I celebrate my rebirthday. And I know a lot of people too who are sober, see their anniversary of when they decide to be sober as like a rebirth, or people who escape from domestic violence. Like I'm a survivor of domestic violence, and like thinking about that escape as a rebirth. So I love all of those ideas of rebirth. I think they're really great.
And we can also connect rebirth with the main or the overarching theme of the event, which is poetic emergence. Rebirth is like a form of emergence, or right, or even a more powerful sense of
Yeah.
emergence, right?
Yeah.
Sky, there is a question from Facebook. I hope you don't mind. I think this is a very nice question. Is the color specifically chosen to pop out for visually weak folks? I don't know what they mean by visually. We can sense what it means, but okay. Can you
Yeah.
address
Yeah.
that?
Yeah. I mean, I think I like really bright colors just because it's what I'm most drawn to. But yeah, I like having it pop out to be like, it's so eye catching that nobody can ignore it ever.
And but your clients can really choose their colors. If they
Yeah.
want it monochromatic, it's okay.
Yeah, totally. I probably 90% of the chest binders I make are all black. But just like having the autonomy to choose is like so important, because I feel like as trans or POC or disabled folks, it's like so much of the time, and yeah, fat and plus size folks, there is no choice and you just choose the functional thing, and it might be cute, it might not. And I mean, I know like the way that Reese's work is too, like that, like, yeah, it's all like super cute, and like just giving people the ability to choose the cute thing rather than just being like, you can only have this thing that looks like a medical garment and is like not fun, and like makes you feel like more sick than you maybe even are, because you're just like, ugh, I feel gross.
What, I'm not sure if we will have any more questions on the local front, but I want to ask another question, especially representing our audiences here in Hong Kong. There's a little bit of conservativeness, right? Also in Hong Kong society, and even in Philippine society,
Oh,
right?
definitely.
So if they're curious that they want to wear something from Rebirth, but what they saw, they find it too, if they might find it too sexy for them, is that what it's trying to give them, embracing, you already said it earlier, being more body positive. How can they actually feel more body positive of themselves?
I mean, it's totally a work in progress for a lot of folks. So, I never force anybody to wear anything more revealing or tight than they want. Like I have looser stuff and I mean, right now I'm like completely covered. Like I'm wearing a whole suit basically. Um, so it's totally up to people. But yeah, for like some folks that I've worked with who first are covering up a lot, but then as they see me, as they see my models and get more comfortable, then they might start feeling more comfortable in their own bodies, which is that's the ultimate goal, is feeling comfortable in your own body. Like it doesn't and like, yeah, for me, I like to feel sexy for myself. I don't care for feeling sexy for others. Like it's all just whatever I feel good in my own body. That's like what is most important to me.
And there's also this strong cosplaying culture here in East Asia. I wonder if you've heard of that. You know, so Hong Kong people, people from Taiwan, Japan, and Korea are very much into cosplay. If queer, non-binary, gender diverse, trans folks, people with visible and invisible disabilities here wanted to, let's say, join cosplay, can they also approach you for doing costumes for them?
Yeah, I've made some cosplay costumes for folks. I guess I tend to make more things that you wear on the everyday basis. And like, yeah, most of the orders I get are for my like chest binders, which are garments to flatten the chest, and then my tucking undies or gaffs, which are garments to flatten your bottoms. So that like, actually most of the garments that I make for people, you don't even really see usually. It's just like underneath. But
Yeah.
but yeah, I think there's a big cosplay scene in the United States too. Although it's kind of weirder because it's like a lot of white people. So sometimes it can get a little bit problematic because it's sometimes converge on yellow face, and that makes me uncomfortable. But I feel like it's a totally different thing in Asia, you know, being like, okay, we're all wearing like cosplay, but it's like it's not a weird racial thing.
And that they don't need to be like so into fashion, right? To enjoy
Yeah,
the garments. Is that
yeah,
right?
yeah.
Yeah,
It
because
can. I
you know
mean, a lot of
yeah.
people. Oops, a lot of people I know might not be interested in fashion at all before they wear my clothing because they feel like fashion isn't for them. But then after getting to wear my clothing, then they're like, oh, like I can get really into fashion, and that's partly why I'm really into doing this radical fit um, program with the Chicago Public Library. I can put a link in the chat to all of you, and it has so many videos on how to make your own clothing and stuff. So I really want people to feel more empowered to get to dress themselves, get to make their own clothing, and like and I see in the chat sometimes cosplay makes a doorway to explore individual expression. I mean, I know so many people who are trans who use cosplay to find their what gender expression they felt good in, and I think that that's super amazing. Like I love that, and I love like fantasy and sci-fi and things like that a lot.
Radical Fit, will we get a chance to also watch it after its launch in Chicago?
It's all already online, so I'll put the playlist in the chat, and then there's like 50 there's like 50 videos, and we'll just keep on putting videos up. And now originally it was just going to be an 8-month program with the Chicago Public Library, but they love it so much that they want to do it forever. So that's really exciting. But yeah, the playlist is in the chat, and it was made for teens, but it's really for anybody of all ages. And then I'll soon have the children's show, which will be really cute. Oh yeah, here's DOG.
Hello, DOG. Yes, you know me as DOG. My last question before I transition to our next panelist, for you, Sky, and we will be asking you some more questions later
Yeah.
on, after our next panelist. But my last question at this point is, what advice can you give to nurturing the unfolding of their kid or their children if they have a child who wanted to embrace their identity but the parents here, may not know how to deal with that. What advice can you give them?
I mean, I guess I feel like my parents did a really good job. They were both artists, and they just let me dress however I wanted. And I feel like, when you have so much freedom to do whatever you want, it really, as far as like dress and expression, it's just so wonderful. And like, you don't actually, I feel like you don't do as wild of things as people might think. Like, I think people get scared. They're like, oh, then if there's no rules, then it'll be too much. But yeah, I don't know. They just like always really advocated for me to get to dress the way I wanted. When I was in second grade and I transferred schools, I got in trouble a lot for what I was wearing. Because I was wearing like 2 different colored socks, and that was seen as like a gang sign in Chicago. But my mom like did research in the early days of the internet and was like, oh, no, I found out that it's only a gang sign if it's 1 black sock and 1 colorful sock. So we just threw away all of Sky's black socks, and now everything's fine. So don't worry about it. And like that advocacy she did for me was so wonderful, because it's like she was so intent on letting me get to express myself however I wanted. And she saw that that rule was like so silly, and it didn't make any sense. It's like, there aren't, I mean, yeah, I guess there could be, but there really aren't that many second graders who are gang members. Oh, it says, sorry, there's a small issue with the English interpreter. Okay. Oh, sorry. Okay, we'll keep on talking. Sorry, I got confused. But yeah, like
Yes,
I'm.
yes, yes. Just keep. Yes.
Oh wait, your internet is cutting out.
Oh, hello.
Okay, yeah. What did you say again?
Yes, I said just keep going. Yes.
Okay, yeah. Yeah. Now I'm seeing a lot of parents who are like raising their kids more gender neutral, or just like getting to choose their expression a lot more. And I think that the kids seem so much happier, like getting to dress however they want, getting to not have to, abide by rules about like skirts or like colors being only for a certain gender. And I just feel like the kids are so much happier seeming that I hang out with, who are growing up like that. So it just seems like it's a much better childhood than to be able to have that type of freedom. And like, I mean, I was a very happy kid, and I think being able to get to express myself always however I wanted has been super integral to me being able to create this clothing line and then promote it, this type of feeling for other people. So yeah, I don't know, like, I mean, my Filipino side of the family was pretty religious. They were fine with however I dressed, but definitely being queer was not okay, at least with my grandparents. So I had to really hide that part of me, and it always just felt so awkward. But now that I can be my full self around all of my relatives, I just feel mentally so much better.
And I think that's what rebirth also represents, coming to terms with your authentic self. And that's why I also asked that question. Maybe maybe in the US, we cannot really say that the US or North America in general is a very safe space for all trans, queer, gender diverse people. There are also places where we get in trouble, we feel unsafe, right? That's why every November we have what we call TDOR, or Transgender Day of Remembrance, because of the violence faced by trans people. But here in Hong Kong, and also in the Philippines, and the rest of Asia, we're still catching on, with the lexicon of transness and otherness, with the visibility of trans, gender diverse folks. And in fact, we're also catching on with the narratives of people with experiences of abilities and disabilities, or being
Yeah.
differently abled, right?
Yeah.
And that's why finding the intersection here is really very powerful. And so what you shared about to our parents, on how they can be more accepting and understanding of the authenticity of their children. And it can begin with what they wear, because
Mhm.
it's usually it's also the beginning of an exploration stage for a lot of children, wearing what they want, being empowered. With Sky, thank you so much, and stay. Of course, you'll be staying around because we're going to be talking to you again.
Yes.
Your work is amazing, and thank you also to Sandra and to DOG. So we're going to be talking to Sky again, but right now, I think we're okay with our interpretation. And it is also my honor to introduce to you our next panelists, our next speakers. Actually, they are a mother and daughter tandem, and they have. And I've met them also over a month ago, and it is such an opportunity to learn the great work that they do here in Hong Kong. But I think they are the best people to also tell the story to everyone. And so without further ado, to talk to us more about the social enterprise Reese and what Reese cares about, here are Kadri and Ophelia Kong. Kadri, Ophelia, I give you the floor. Please tell us more about yourselves and Reese.
大家好啦，咁多謝今日咧你哋嚟聽我哋呢一個分享嘅。咁我好多謝阿 Sky 啦，同埋 Dr. Brenda 咧頭先有咁多嘅分享啦。咁喺我哋而家咧都想係承接翻佢哋講嘅一個對每一個人嘅取向同埋喜好嘅一份尊重。咁呢個亦都係我哋公司好重要嘅一個宗旨嚟嘅。咁好我哋睇翻我哋其實就係嚟自睿程工作室啦。咁我哋呢間公司咧，其實最主要就係好似我哋寫呢個標題咁樣，就係宜扮靚忌求其嘅。即係我哋覺得所有人都有一個權利同埋能力去扮靚嘅，係唔可以敷衍了事嘅。咁我哋其實係做啲咩咧？咁我哋就係做一間我哋分兩部分啦。咁我哋就首先係有設計同埋製作一啲適應性嘅服飾嘅。咁另一部分咧就係做一個社企嘅製衣廠。你見到我哋呢個 studio 嘅相咧就係比較混亂嘅，真係好多嘢做就係咁混亂，係啦。咁然後咧，我首先講咗我哋點解我哋會做一間咁樣嘅企業咧？咁我介紹下我媽咪先啦。咁就係Ophelia 啦。咁佢本身都係有一個做製衣嘅背景啦。咁然後咧佢退休啦，咁佢咧就去照顧嗰陣時住喺老人院嘅媽媽，即係我婆婆啦。咁佢喺有一個咁樣嘅製衣背景嘅時候，佢又日日坐喺度睇住我婆婆咧，佢就好感受到，而家一啲現有嘅護老衣物係好多不足嘅喎。例如款式上面啦，比較醜樣啦，好似一件制服咁，大家成間護老院大家都一式一樣啦。又或者功能性上面都係唔係好幫到手嘅。例如好似佢會見到，我婆婆瞓下即係坐喺張床度，開始跣咗落去咯喎。咁大家就會諗辦法抬翻起我婆婆坐翻直啲啦。但係其實佢哋只可以用一個方法，就係佢着緊一條普通嘅睡褲，跟住佢就抽起嗰個褲嘅褲浪咁樣的起佢。咁你可想而知，其實係對使用者係非常之唔舒服啦。即係我婆婆係一定好唔舒服，而你去照顧佢嘅時候，其實你咁樣托起佢一個動作係好容易令到大家受傷啦，亦都唔係一件好efficient 嘅事啦。咁係佢即係各種嘅一啲體驗，令到佢覺得哇咁樣唔掂喎。其實 都知好多呢啲時裝製衣嘅技術，其實係咪可以活用喺呢一方面咧？咁所以佢就喺2017年咧就創立咗呢個睿程嘅。咁我哋都係致力想為長者啦同埋身障人士提供更加多嘅選擇，同埋工廠嚟㗎嘛，工廠需要好多人手，人手咧就可以提供工作機會。咁我亦都希望可以為到一啲本地嘅婦女同埋一啲可能比較難揾到工嘅朋友咧，可以提供到工作機會。咁然後就講下我自己啦。咁我咧其實就喺理工大學時裝設計系畢業嘅。咁由讀書到出嚟做嘢，其實我都覺得設計時裝好似冇乜意思。即係咁佢個意義喺邊度咧？其實就好似係一買一賣咯。我有錢咪買啲貴啲嘅靚啲嘅嘢。咁但係其實喺嗰個物件同埋人與人之間有冇一個連結喺度咧？我覺得係好片面嘅。咁然後亦都經過婆婆呢件事啦。咁我就覺得好似真係應該可以做一啲嘢。咁我哋就一齊做咗睿程啦。咁我哋公司嘅諗法就係我哋要將對使用者同埋照顧者嘅愛同埋尊重融入喺我識嘅設計啦，同埋我媽咪識嘅製衣技術裏面咧，做一啲成品俾佢哋。咁都好開心啦！我哋喺2019年咧係攞到呢個DFA 亞洲最具影響力嘅設計大獎嘅，咁得到大家嘅認同，我哋都係好開心嘅。咁而家我哋就講下我哋公司其實係主要做咩啦。咁我哋講咗呢個設計同埋製作適應性服飾嘅呢部分先。咁喺呢一部分咧，我哋嘅服務對象咧就係一啲長者啦、身心障礙嘅朋友啦，同埋一啲照顧者嘅。咁我哋嘅產品咧會分兩大部分啦。咁第一部分咧就叫飲食圍巾。咁其實真係大家一般講嘅，我哋廣東人講口水肩。咁另一部分咧就係適應性服飾啦。咁適應性服飾其實就係指一啲身體可能有啲障礙嘅朋友仔着嘅衫。咁呢啲衫係可以喺功能性上去幫佢生活更加便利嘅，或者幫到佢照顧者照顧佢更加方便嘅。咁我哋講咗飲食圍巾先啦。咁咧喺飲食圍巾咧，點解我哋會做口水肩呢樣嘢咧？咁喺呢方面我哋就可以交俾姜太去講下其實我哋有一段估嘅，點解會咁做咧？
係啦，大家好。咁咧就係因為有一個原因，就係因為我照顧咗我自己媽媽咧，就一段時間喺護老院。咁其實咧我就會定時帶佢咧就出去食下嘢咁樣，去啲酒樓咁樣。但係咧即係始終去論盡啲啦，會整污糟啲棉褸咁樣。咁我就諗下揾個口水肩啦。咁我就周圍去揾日本啦、美國啦、加拿大，我揾啲口水肩其實都係唔靚，非常之唔靚添，仲要。咁冇辦法啦，咁我就同院舍講有冇口水肩咁？但係佢俾我嘅就真係好傳統，成個醫院、成個院舍都係得一隻色、兩隻色嘅嘢。例如深紅啦、深藍啦、暗綠啦，係冇顏色、冇花款。咁無奈我媽就帶咗去飲茶，但我睇到佢個樣好唔開心，因為我媽好貪靚，就是年紀好大都好，個頭髮唔可以亂啦，個袖口鈕唔可以唔扣啦，即係佢雖然唔變，佢都一定要自己執得好正。哎呀，真係要坐到好正咁樣嘅，好傳統嘅一個女士。咁所以佢就好唔開心帶住，但無奈都係要咁樣。喺佢俾我個感覺就係兩個字：無奈，冇得揀。
咁所以咧係即係婆婆呢件事，我哋會覺得係其實我哋見到一啲身障人士甚至長者啦，其實可能佢哋身體情況已經影響佢哋一個進食體驗啦，即係可能佢哋已經身體情況令佢哋要食一啲午餐啦。咁睇落個樣已經係唔係特別好食啦，咁佢哋食嘅嘢又可能要好清淡啦，咁佢哋已經係唔開心，同埋可能佢身體上嘅問題令到佢哋會食得論盡啲，咁可能佢又會有一個心理壓力啦，咁加上你只可以好似見到我哋嗰幅圖裡面咁樣，有個用啲咁嘅小銅色嘅口水肩，或者一啲好似剛才姜太講嘅一啲好暗嘅顏色嘅口水肩俾佢做，佢更加唔開心。咁我覺得其實係會令佢首先佢自己追求美嘅權利係被限制咗，同埋係進一步降低咗佢個自信同埋尊嚴嘅。咁呢一樣嘢我哋就 記喺我哋個心裏邊。而我哋一開展呢個公司嘅時候咧，第一件事嘅產品咧就係做咗呢一類型嘅飲食圍巾啦。咁你見到就有好多款式啦。咁咧就我哋其實想做嘅就係睇落唔似一件飲食圍巾嘅，睇落咧唔會有馬上有嗰個抗拒感，就係會覺得啊，好似買咗件好靚嘅背心喎，有一件好靚嘅圍巾喎。咁特別係圍巾，好似上海灘飲食圍巾同埋瑪麗蓮夢露飲食圍巾咁啦。其實咧佢哋個着法都好似一條頸巾咁樣嘅啫。咁佢面層你見到花碌碌好靚嘅就係一啲棉布啦，我哋就希望減低個致敏性咧，就係會用棉布啦。咁但係底部咧就會用防水布嘅。咁所以如果你食嘢嘅時候有啲飯餸菜汁跌咗咧，都唔會透入去你本身着緊嘅衫嗰度。咁而呢啲設計，我覺得就係好入門嘅，即係佢可能咧有啲抗拒藍口水肩喎。咁呢一個唔係嘅，呢個係頸巾嚟啫嘛。你同佢講係一個頸巾啫，咁佢個抗拒程度係會減低咗好多。咁除咗呢一款之外咧，我哋都有呢啲好似一件背心咁樣嘅設計啦。咁呢啲其實係更加進一步進階嘅設計，令佢睇落好似一件衫，好貼身嘅。即係出席啲隆重場合咧，都係會非常之得體嘅。咁我哋想做嘅嘢就係希望令到個個長者用餐嘅體驗變得好，同埋用口水肩嘅型嗰個感覺都變得開心好多。咁呢啲就係一啲我哋嘅用家同埋照顧者嘅分享啦。咁有嚟自意大利嘅一對夫婦啦，又有一啲香港嘅婆婆啦，又有嚟自新加坡嘅婆婆啦。咁佢哋都係覺得啊，咦，同我一般見到嘅口水肩好唔一樣喎。啊，見到之後我唔抗拒，我好開心，係一件新衫嚟嘅。咁呢個都係我哋好開心、好想見到嘅一個畫面。咁好啦。然後咧，我哋就可以講下我哋做嘅一啲適應性服飾，咁都好類似頭先 Sky 講嘅，佢哋做嘅衫都係想突顯佢哋想突顯嘅部分，想隱藏一啲佢哋覺得想會比較想私密啲嘅一啲部分啦。咁我哋個適應性服飾都係咁嘅，我哋好想幫到一啲身障人士去做一啲衫，係令佢哋有自信。有功能性幫到佢哋嘅。咁點解我哋會有呢一個諗法咧？又係因為我哋喺開業好初期啦，就識到一位叫 Angel 嘅好朋友。咁咧佢就講咗佢嘅經歷俾我哋聽咧。咁我哋就覺得啊，深感動到，所以我哋就同佢做一啲衫。咁個故事咧亦都可以交俾姜太去詳細再講下我哋同 Angel 之間嘅溝通咁樣。
係啦，咁Angel 咧係我工作室係第一個嘅客人嚟㗎。咁佢咧就係坐輪椅，因為佢大學嘅時候咧，佢就有肌肉萎縮症，咁佢開始就要坐輪椅啦。咁咧佢入到嚟嘅時候咧，佢就同我講佢想做一件連身裙 dress， 咁咧就同埋一個工人褲。咁我就話啊，點解你買唔到連身裙啊？因為佢話裙長佢就會攝嗰個輪椅碌，裙短佢就會走光，所以佢買唔到。咁我就好，咁喺個對話個過程裏邊咧，佢話咗俾我聽，原來佢買衫好困難。香港嘅嗰啲鋪貼時裝店咧好細，佢個輪椅入唔到，咁佢選擇又少咗。有一啲咧就係嗰個門口嗰度咧有個膊，有一級，佢個輪椅上唔到，咁又選擇。好啦，輪椅入到嘅鋪頭，咁去睇，因為佢係自己照顧自己，仲有佢有半邊身咧，隻手係爭啲，佢得一隻手去幫自己嘅着衫，所以咧無奈佢一定要買大兩個碼，令到嗰件衫好容易着，好容易笠，佢係冇選擇。咁喺佢個眼神裏邊咧，我又覺得咗兩個字，又係無奈，冇得揀。即係我個感覺好深，就係當年我媽咪又係無奈同埋冇得揀。
係啦，咁樣知道 Angel 呢件故事之後，我哋係坦白講，我哋係冇諗過啊，喺香港大家竟然會冇辦法買到衫，同埋冇辦法揀到啱佢嘅衫。佢 Angel 有講話啊，我揀到呢件衫，彈性啊，所有嘢都啱到我着嘅話咧，我一買6件6種顏色，我就當自己有6件衫，我就唯有咁樣去 讓步。咁我哋就覺得啊，其實原來可能香港好多商店都缺乏呢啲無障礙設施，而每一個使用者、每一個身障朋友，佢哋嘅身體都有好獨特嘅需要，你係好難揾到一樣嘢啊又靚又切合到佢嘅身體需要。咁有啲使用者佢有照顧者嘅，咁可能嗰啲衫係唔係好適合佢着，因為佢嘅身體情況，咁而照顧者去幫佢着嘅時候，可能要夾硬去屈曲佢嘅四肢啦，咁樣其實好容易令到使用者受傷，而其實照顧佢嘅人都好辛苦。咁呢個受傷同埋疲憊係我哋唔想見到嘅。咁所以咧，我哋按照住呢個情況咧，我哋就做咗一個度身訂造嘅服務，或者叫免度身訂造。因為咧，我哋如果你嚟到我哋公司度身咧，咁我哋就梗係同你面談，了解你嘅需要啦。如果你係冇辦法嘅，咁你嘅照顧者代替你嚟，咁攞住你平時着住嘅衫，咁咧同埋可以我哋知道你尺寸啦，同埋我哋要當面知道你同埋照顧者之間嘅需要係乜嘢。咁我哋就你中意做藍色嘅衫，中意做件睡衣，或者做一件去街褲咁樣。咁我哋知道要求之後咧，我哋就會着手設計，同埋我哋最重要咧係會做一個試樣品嘅，我哋會做一個 mock up。咁佢個 mock up 係有咩理由要做咧？因為做衫咪做衫咯，點解要做個 mock up 咧？咁係因為我哋嘅設計咧都會用好多為咗方便使用者同埋照顧者可以着到啦，咁會有好多位置咧係啲拉鏈啊，會有啲鈕啊、拍鈕啊、魔術貼咁樣嘅。咁而呢啲就會同一般嘅衫嘅着法咧係好唔一樣，所以我哋就要做一個試樣品，去攞俾佢哋去試。攞俾我哋嘅使用者同埋照顧者去試下啊，所有嘢係咪啱你嘅習慣啊，啱佢個身體需要啦。咁 OK 啦，我哋先至真係攞晒你哋嘅意見，fitting 嗰啲改好晒咧，我哋先至再做最後嗰件 final product 嘅。咁呢個係我哋其中一個sample 啦，可以睇到我哋嘅衫咧，其實好似同一般嘅恤衫係冇咩分別嘅。但係咧，你就咁睇就唔覺佢一啲咩特別嘅嘢。但係咧，就喺袖底嗰度咧，就有兩條拉鏈。咁佢可以成件咁樣打開嘅時候咧，就好似右手邊咁樣，攤開晒。其實只要你嗰個領過到佢個頭咧，即係可以穿咗落個頭度。咁其實咧，佢隻手根本都唔需要遞起，唔需要穿過個袖口。你只要照顧者喺側邊幫佢拉起兩條拉鏈，就已經着好衫。所有嘢就簡單、方便、快捷，就唔需要有咁多痛苦嘅。咁呢啲亦都係我哋其他嘅款式啦，譬如一啲格仔睡衣啦、一啲棉褸啦，都係用呢啲全開嘅設計去做。咁我哋都係度身訂造嘅每件設計。咁佢哋想做咩咧？我哋就盡量滿足到佢哋嘅要求嘅。咁又講翻 Angel 啦，咁我哋見咗佢咁耐，傾咗咁多偈，我哋做咗啲咩俾佢咧？咁呢個咧可以姜太介紹下，我哋最後設計咗一件咩衫俾佢咧？
係啦。因為咧 Angel 講咗佢嗰個問題俾我聽，咁佢就想做一條長裙，咁所以咧我哋就做咗一條長裙，有一條牛仔嘅長裙。佢咧嗰件衫嘅設計就好似一件神褸咁樣打開，好似我件衫咁打開嘅。因為佢自己要去傷殘人士洗手間，咁條裙長咧佢就會整污糟嗰個地下濕，咁所以佢咧我就教佢就除咗佢入邊着背心，咁佢嗰件衫咧就可以擺喺個輪椅嗰度啦。咁佢咧後面咧就係因為條裙點解長會阻住佢攝碌，所以我專登咧就喺側邊嗰度有幅圖係左邊嗰幅圖咧，我就偷咗一個 U 字形嘅位，咁佢咪唔會攝碌咯，佢喺側邊落去，佢就唔會攝碌。咁仲有條裙偷咗個窿，咁我就用翻同一樣嘅布做咗條短褲俾佢，咁望落佢就唔會走光啦。咁好啦，另外一邊咧，因為佢一隻手唔方便，頭先我有講咗。咁佢咧就喺腰嗰度有個魔術貼，其實就好簡單，一錫，咁佢就除咗件嘢㗎啦，就可以變成咗一條裙。咁但係最後一幅圖畫就係右手邊最下低一白色一笪嘅係咩咧？呢個係一個好特別嘅魔術貼，係冇聲音嘅呢個魔術貼，好似兩塊毛巾搭住嘅。咁呢塊好大塊喺正前中嘅原因咧，係因為佢着咗條裙咁樣好似神褸咁，佢就會走光擘開，唔好睇啦。咁呢個魔術貼就係令到佢搭埋咗，佢就會保障佢好似望落係一條裙咁樣，而令到佢會好有自信啊，好靚啊！我真係可以着到件連身裙去街啦。咁亦都好開心咧。 因為條裙啱啱趕住，佢冇同我講嘅，就係趕到星期二攞，星期四佢哥哥註冊結婚，佢可以着到呢件衫，佢開心到直頭喊出嚟。仲有咧係為咗佢去即刻買對鞋，用咗1日時間去買對鞋。咁咧佢直頭全程 video 俾我睇，係由佢出門着呢件衫到婚禮，佢都全部影俾我睇。你諗下佢嗰種開心，我諗係每一個人都感受到佢嘅喜悅咯。所以我覺得做咗呢件衫，做呢件事係非常非常之開心。
係啦，咁咧喺 Angel 呢件事，我哋真係受到好大嘅鼓舞啦。原來我哋做一件衫，花少少心機就可以令佢咁開心嘅。咁亦都好鼓勵到我哋之後繼續努力向呢個方向繼續做嘅。咁好啦，我哋而家咧可以再講一下咧，我哋社企製衣廠嗰部分。咁我哋對我哋嘅產品就話融入愛啊、關懷啊，去俾個用家啦。咁但係其實我哋工作嗰方面咧，我哋係點樣體現到呢件事咧？就係其實我哋有一班員工咧係身心障礙嘅朋友，同埋係一啲基層婦女嚟嘅。咁我哋點解會想話俾一個就業嘅機會佢哋咧？係因為我哋知道咧，其實係譬如身心障礙嘅朋友，佢哋出去揾工有一個困難就係，可能佢哋需要可能佢哋外表同大家唔同啦，佢哋身體狀況同大家唔同啦。咁喺有啲僱主對佢哋嘅接納程度會低啦。咁另外可能佢哋需要更加長嘅時間去學習去做一個工作啦。或者佢嘅效益冇咁高啦。咁但係好多僱主就可能會我冇咁多時間俾咁多培訓，同埋你工作同埋效益我賺唔賺到錢先？如果唔得，我唔考慮啦咁樣。咁另外就係婦女啦。咁點解我哋會覺得婦女都係有一個困境喺度咧？例如可能好多要照顧老人家啦，又要照顧好細嘅小朋友啦。咁好細嘅小朋友本身都係返可能幾個鐘頭學，咁佢哋根本冇辦法去做一啲普通嘅工作，都係時間較長嘅，同埋冇乜彈性安排嘅。因為你可能細路仔發燒咁冇得返學，咁你又要湊住佢，咁但係你份工唔可以俾你無啦啦就請一日假㗎嘛。咁可能都係分身不下，亦都缺乏一個就業嘅技能同埋經驗啦，所以佢哋根本就係難啲去揾到工。咁我哋喺呢方面咧，我哋做咗一啲乜嘢嘅配合咧？我哋會配合佢哋嘅時間啦，我哋好彈性俾佢哋上班嘅一個時間啦，同埋會按住佢哋嘅能力同埋情況，因為我哋識嘅婦女同埋身障人士都係有社工推介俾我哋嘅。咁可能佢哋喺家庭啦、身體上面都或者心理上面咧都有一定嘅困難喺度，咁我哋會同社工緊密聯繫啦，去彈性安排佢哋嘅工作啦，按照佢哋嘅能力啦，同埋心情狀況啦、家庭狀況啦咁樣，同埋我哋都會持續俾一啲好長嘅在職培訓佢哋啦。咁譬如婦女車嘢嘅，我哋其實係最希望佢可以做翻以前姜太細個做過嗰啲，就係攞啲線頭翻屋企剪啊，攞架衣車翻屋企車衫啊，等佢可以喺屋企可以做到嘢，然後攞貨翻嚟俾我哋，咁就可以有一個賺到一個生活費。咁我哋另外最重要，其實係我哋呢度好似一個學堂咁樣。我哋唔話覺得佢哋一定會永遠留喺度嘅，因為大家可能只係短暫一個過渡期，需要我哋嘅幫忙。咁可能將來其實我哋最想就係為佢哋將來嘅就業做到一個準備，所以我哋就會好注重去，除咗係一啲技術方面嘅嘢，我哋好注重教佢哋一啲就業嘅禮儀同埋紀律。例如你返工一定要準時，你要有交代，你有問題你一定你有問題返唔到工，一定要預早同老闆講。你點樣同老闆有一個良好嘅關係，同同事點樣合作，呢啲都係因為佢哋平時可能缺乏社交、缺乏經驗而冇辦法知道嘅一啲就業技能嚟嘅。咁呢啲我哋都係好注重會去教育佢哋嘅。咁咧呢度我想提一提，我哋有一個好好嘅合作夥伴係香港善導會啦。咁佢哋係好好嘅一個機構啦。我哋好多社工都同我哋合作去做一啲就業合作嘅個案啦。咁佢哋喺香港咧已經成立咗好長一段時間，都係提供呢啲就業啊、精神健康啊、輔導嘅一啲 服務嘅。咁我哋同佢咧嘅合作咧係有一個我哋第一個合作咧就係我哋好深印象嘅一個個案。咁可以交俾姜太去講下同呢一個小朋友之間嘅故事啦。
咁咧呢個小朋友咧係18歲嘅一個女仔，我叫佢做小平。咁呢個女仔咧，佢個屋企好複雜，令到佢咧好細個已經開始有厭食症，同埋社交係完全唔會同你有任何眼神啦，淨係識得低頭接觸。仲有佢係情緒又唔穩定嘅。咁佢仲有一個病叫做依賴症，佢哋講俾我聽啦嚇。咁佢嚟到，其實我請佢咧，我自己個心理壓力都好大，因為我要同一個18歲嘅相處啦，我亦都唔知佢嘅症狀啊係點。咁我哋就同社工好合拍咁咧，就開始我哋呢個計劃俾佢係諗住2年最多嘅，就喺我哋呢度，好似頭先阿 Katri 咁講啊，我哋教識佢咩叫禮儀啦、準時啦、同人溝通啦。咁但係因為佢有厭食症，因為姜太就好中意食嘢嘅，咁我就想試下用身體嘅語言去教佢中意食嘢。咁呢個就係我嘅目的嚟嘅，其實就係好希望佢食多啲嘢。咁好啦，咁喺由2019年開始就喺度做啦。2019年啊，2022年開始就開始同我哋做到啱啱3月咧，佢就同我辭職啦。佢就話：姜太，我有啲悶啊，我好想出去試下揾工。其實呢個過程好開心，由佢唔識叫我早晨啦，教到佢識同我拜拜啦。最開心嘅係舊年嘅中秋節，佢竟然主動要攞月餅食，係一次又一次攞咗3次食月餅。仲有一次又問阿 Katri：我好肚餓，你可唔可以俾啲餅乾我食？我嗰日開心過，我諗我中6合彩都冇咁開心。佢竟然去主動攞嘢食，哇！我同社工都開心到不得了。佢亦都主動話：我好悶啊，我要去轉工。其實呢一個係令到我好鼓勵，哇！我再要去幫一啲特別嘅小朋友，所以咧，我會持續去做呢一樣嘢㗎啦。
係啦，咁呢個其實我哋就喺呢個小平嘅故事裏面咧，係睇到其實佢哋可能身心障礙啦，咁佢哋就缺乏社交同工作經驗，亦都更加冇一個溝通嘅技能啦。咁可能一嚟到嘅時候係成件事可能係比較負面嘅。咁但係喺我哋呢段大8-9個月嘅相處過程裏面，即係佢學識點樣同僱主同同事相處啦。咁同埋喺咁佢嚟做嘢一定有做錯嘢，同有啲嘢做得好好嘅。咁但係喺呢件事裏面，其實佢哋可以佢可以建立到一個自我認識，即係知道我自己嘅長處同短處喺邊度，同埋有返一個自信心喺度。而透過我哋嘅相處，佢建立到一個好好嘅安全感，同我哋嘅關係係穩健嘅。咁而我覺得呢啲嘢係可以令到佢 build up 到一個勇氣去，我要面對一啲未知嘅挑戰啦。即係以前可能佢淨係講一聲我想食嘢，佢都冇勇氣去講。但係而家佢可以我想揾份新工啊！即係呢個係我哋好鼓舞嘅覺得。咁呢件事就令到我哋好，我哋繼續努力，我哋持續都有繼續請呢啲小朋友啦。咁另外咧，我哋就有一啲社區工作都會做嘅。咁例如我哋會做飲食圍巾工作坊啦，即係教人點樣可以自己一針一線去用親手去縫製一件飲食圍巾，去俾你關愛嘅人。咁例如我哋都有同一啲集團去做一啲關愛計劃嘅。咁例如我哋同嘉里集團做過一個 program 啦，咁我哋教咗佢60幾位嘅員工做咗80幾條嘅成品，都係全部捐晒俾護老院啦。咁另外我哋都有同啲地區嘅中心去做嘅，咁佢哋咧就唔同啦，佢哋自己就係照顧者嚟嘅。咁我哋就教佢從零開始，由裁剪到剪布到紙樣，全部嘢教佢哋點樣做一件為佢哋嘅家人去親手做一件圍巾嘅。咁另外咧，我哋就係一個就業體驗計劃啦，就好似頭先嗰位小平咁樣啦。咁我哋同善導會真係有好多合作啦，大家都見到一個一定嘅成效喺度。然後我哋就再做一個短期嘅培訓，咁係每位學員咧都係好似小平咁樣嘅 case咧，就每個學員都有10堂呢啲培訓嘅。 咁包括教佢剪布啊、手縫啊，甚至一啲設計嘅技能咁樣啦。咁我哋都係希望俾到一個就業禮儀紀律嘅教育佢哋，同埋一啲即係佢將來會唔會做呢行唔知，會唔會喺我哋公司度做唔知嘅。咁但係希望至少佢有一個工作嘅實習嘅經驗，等佢可以有多一個技能同埋能力。咁另外咧，我哋都有同其他好似太古集團，我哋做過一個program 啦，就係佢哋要做一個慈善義賣，係賣佢哋嘅口罩啦。咁但係佢哋當中可能需要到一啲製衣啊，同埋生產嘅流程技術咧，都係我哋提供佢哋一個指導啦。咁你見到佢哋好開心咧，喺度一齊做義工啦。咁佢哋係一班好正面、好熱心嘅一班員工嚟嘅，我哋都好感動。佢又着晒我哋啲圍巾喺度，大家影咗張大合照啦。咁就幫到佢哋教一啲基層婦女車口罩，去從而做一個善舉咁樣。咁最後咧，我哋都係有做一啲工作室嘅導賞團嘅，因為特別係而家嘅可能年輕嘅朋友啦，佢哋應該未見過工廠啦，又未見過製衣廠啦，特別仲要喺香港。咁所以我哋嗰陣時同南豐紗廠咧都有一個合作，就係帶咗7間中學嘅一啲中學生嚟到我哋嘅工作室。咁姜太咧就為佢哋做咗一個 tour 啦，去介紹咩係工廠啦，咩係適應性服飾啦，叫佢哋試下幫同學你試下扮呢一個身體唔舒服嘅朋友另一個同學你就試下扮下係照顧佢嘅。咁你睇下你照顧佢，你會遇到咩困難咧？你幫佢着我哋傳統嘅衣物又有咩困難？如果幫佢着我哋嘅適應性服飾又有啲咩方便喺度咧？咁我哋希望透過以上嘅社區工作，都係可以教育到大眾多啲關注其實社區上唔同人士嘅一啲需要，令佢哋細細個就開始有啲咁樣嘅概念，等佢哋將來譬如會更加可以，譬如可能投身呢一行甚至只要關愛多啲呢啲朋友，我哋都係已經覺得好開心嘅。咁我哋今日嘅分享咧就去到呢度啦。咁我哋就等Dr. Brenda 睇下我哋仲有啲咩可以溝通啦。咁如果需要聯絡我咧，就有呢啲方法喺度嘅。咁樣係啦，我哋可以將個時間交翻俾 Dr. Brenda。唔該，
好長氣，
講咗好耐。
Hi, hello. Thank you so much. And I just have to do this, for the amazing work that you have been doing. Of course, Ophelia for starting this, and KG for helping Ophelia continue this great work, because it's not just what you are making that is inspiring, but it's also teaching us a lot of things that may have been overlooked by society for a long time. And that is, well, as was mentioned already in the chat, that is care, right? Because that's the very core of our panel. And you're able to define care in the work that you do by just looking into things that we overlook, right? In terms of caring for the people that we're supposed to care for, like the elderly, including the caregivers, the carers themselves, who are also overlooked. So it's very inspiring. At the same time, the community work that you do, passing on your skills, the training that you provide the community is very, very inspiring, because you are not monopolizing the skills to yourselves, but you know that these are sets of skills that needs to be expanded, and that you're also sharing the messages, the learnings that is very essential for our society to also look into. But there are a couple of questions on the floor, and I hope you could answer them. The first question is, where does the name RIS come from, and why call RIS the manufacturing?
This is just a random name that we made for our company, because at first we just think it would be a small workshop that we just want to make it small and do some unique stuff, but we didn't think that anyone would be curious about our name, so we didn't really think about that.
Okay, thank you. And there's another question here. What are the challenges or the difficulties that your company has faced so far, and how do you overcome them?
我哋遇到一啲困難係佢其實可能知道咗可以幫到嘅，但係唔知點解佢哋又會幫住自己唔行動啊，好得意㗎，仲有好多人都點樣去好似有時又會好抗拒嘅，例如好困難嘅同佢哋講嘢，佢哋譬如你同佢講一啲嘢，佢哋會即刻剝咗自己，唔係㗎，你哋一定係推銷嘅，你哋一定係為咗利益同我講嘢。
例如即係可能姜太講緊咧，就係我哋譬如想可能有啲機會認識到一啲可能院舍啊、一啲機構嘅朋友咧，咁我哋可能講下我哋其實係做緊呢啲，咁可能佢哋一嚟就會設起咗個防線啦。你哋係推銷嘅，你哋係賺錢嘅啫，你哋係你哋唔聽啦咁樣，又或者可能係或者有啲機構我哋覺得其實佢哋可能好有呢個需要，但係佢哋可能香港都係社工啊，各種體制都係工作壓力非常之強大啦，咁所以佢哋可能工作以外已經冇時間再去諗，即係啲常規工作已經夠忙啦。唔想再諗其他嘢，咁可能佢哋最尾都好啊，你同我講下啦，你同我做少少產品開發啦，但係最後都不了了之。咁我哋會覺得其實我哋嘅產品真係可能會幫到你一啲朋友，但係最尾就因為佢哋可能工作忙啦，又不了了之啦，咁就呢啲嘢始終都到唔到佢哋嘅手上，同埋即係特別係我哋幫嘅對象，可能其實佢哋時間未必好長，即係可能長者佢哋已經年老啦，又或者身體嘅朋友，可能佢哋好快已經去到一個更加嚴重嘅情況，已經可能唔再需要呢啲衣物。但係其實我哋明白呢啲衣物可以俾到佢哋一個情緒上嘅一個好大嘅鼓勵，令到佢哋好多嘢都會，甚至可能身體都會健康啲咁樣。但係去唔到佢哋手上就斷咗啦呢件事，咁佢哋就冇機會再去試一啲好嘅衣物，一啲令佢哋有自信、有尊嚴嘅衣物嘅時候，我哋就覺得好無奈咁咯，係。
Thank you. Your work is really very essential and it's very inspiring because I don't know if the other participants here who are living here in Hong Kong can observe it, but if we look around, there are the cases or the situations of the elderly actually needs care and further at their very old age, and we see that the curvature of their body is already very worrisome actually, and that they're still working so hard. We sometimes ask ourselves who allows them to do this and who cares for them, and when they cannot work anymore, when they become debilitated, how would they be cared for, and how efficient would the process be that the government provides for them, that the last years of of their lives, that they could still be given some amount of attention. So thank you for the inspiring work that you do. But what else do you think can Hong Kong society do to learn more about race and to also put into practice what you have been doing?
我覺得我哋希望其實香港有好多人咧都做緊啲樂齡嘅推廣介紹老人家嘅生活，可能電視節目有好多但係其實係斷咗嘅，即係好似30-40歲嘅朋友咧係未必會接觸呢啲資訊，即係可能真係有睇開嘅、有見開嘅就係50-60歲，即係開始佢哋已經係成為一個照顧者，或者佢哋已經係一個長者嘅人先會知道。咁我覺得其實嗰個問題就係可能大家喺教育方面，即係咪教育人士就係真係可以好接觸到我哋一啲年輕嘅朋友啦。咁我覺得呢一樣嘢係最好，就係可以喺佢哋嘅教育裏面已經提醒多啲你哋應該可以關注下老人家喎。其實呢件事唔係好遠㗎，唔係你而家10幾歲嗰件事係7老80先會發生，係可能好多你身邊嘅 朋友咧，街度你放低個電話，你望下側邊，其實可能已經好多長者或者身障人士，其實佢哋都有一啲需要，你會唔會去思考下咧？同埋將來 practical 啲去講一句，只會越嚟越多老人家喺香港。其實樂齡科技同埋產業呢樣嘢係會越嚟越大嘅呢一個 business，咁好有可能將來你都會投入呢一個產業裡面，咁係咪可以大家進一步喺教育方面做多啲嘢咧？即係好似我哋嘅社區工作咁，我哋都想同多啲年輕人去講多啲呢一件事。好似阿姜太成日都講話，種個種子喺佢哋嘅心入面，就算佢哋而家啲公公婆婆可能都係50、60歲，好後生、好健壯，環遊世界，但係等佢哋老嘅時候，佢哋馬上就醒起，係有人有一樣嘢叫做適應性服飾，有樣嘢叫飲食圍巾。即係佢知道有機會可以幫佢哋揾到啲更加好嘅產品，而唔係好多我哋遇到嘅照顧者都同我哋講：哎呀，我真係唔知原來有啲咁好嘅嘢。我而家知啦，我即刻要俾我爸爸媽媽用啦，我公公婆婆用。有啲係可能屋企人已經即係年老嘅屋企人都過咗身，佢先知，佢就會覺得我已經冇呢個機會俾佢哋去用。即係我覺得希望將來有更加多人好似我哋去咁樣去做一啲咁樣嘅衫，有更加多新嘅諗法，等多啲人可以受惠咯。
Yes. Definitely, we agree, and that we were talking about this, Ophelia, KG, if you remember, a month ago, that it will be very nice if the social work and behavioral sciences schools in the universities here in Hong Kong would actually learn more about the work that you do, because what we learn is the adaptive wear and the clothes that you make allows not just the carer or the caregiver, but also the wearer themselves to actually feel that that they are cared for. It's like there is some direct or maybe an indirect psychological and positive experience for them, right? What do you think? Right? Yeah. So do you think is it possible for us to also teach this kind of technology, the caring technology, to our social workers here in Hong Kong?
呢個咧都係我哋好想做嘅嘢嚟嘅，因為我哋工作室就喺香港荔枝角一個地方啦，咁好細嘅，咁我哋人數又好少啦，咁其實我哋幫到嘅人可能住遠啲嘅人都已經嚟唔到，咁但係我哋就而家開始就喺度同好多社區中心遠至天水圍、土瓜灣甚至港島嘅，我哋都有去溝通，其實我哋係咪可以喺佢哋嘅社區 set up 一個 mini 嘅 RIS 咧？即係我哋可以一個小睿情喺佢嗰度佢哋有佢哋嘅衣車，佢哋有佢哋嘅團隊，佢哋有義工，即係有啲社區人士係我退休啦，我好想咧幫到社區其他區內嘅人，咁佢哋都其實可以學車嘢㗎。佢哋譬如有個婆婆真係好想改個褲腳，或者佢瘦咗啦，啲衫可以改一改。其實我哋都想 set up 呢啲 mini 睿情喺各個社區，咁我哋會去安西教佢哋啦，對佢哋嘅義工或者婦女咧提供一啲培訓，然後幫佢哋去 set up 一個工作室咧，應該有啲咩，有個咩衣車，咁有啲可能係家用衣車，等你啲婦女可以借翻屋企，可能揾啲小外快，或者可以幫到人哋。咁都有好多社區中心都同我哋傾緊呢啲 program， 我覺得係好有用嘅，因為可能婦女或者長者都唔可以長途跋涉嚟到我哋嗰個工作室，而我哋如果地區性都有呢啲幫到咁佢哋個受惠範圍就會大好多咯。
Thank you. And especially it's so timely since last year, what you have been doing, providing training, to the community, learning about skills that you do is such great help for the community because of the unexpected toll that the pandemic has actually done and how it has affected a lot of us. And I think what you have been doing is so inspiring. It has given them hope. especially during these times, right? That at least you're able to share your skills with others, not just skills, but actually the understanding, of the work that you do, the great amount of care that goes into the work that you do. Now, there's another question. There's another question here. They're curious about how Sky and Reese see their practices and their design, or maybe how you learn from each other. So this gives us an opportunity to actually allow Sky, Kadri, and Ophelia to interact with each other also. Maybe to ask each other questions.
Sky 我都有個問題想問嘅，就係可能你做一啲衣物設計上啦，做製作上啦，你遇到啲咩困難咧？即係可能喺你哋個 community 裏面遇到咩困難咧
？For me, so everything is produced by me, or I have at this point 4 employees who do fabrication, 3 of them who do it full time, and 1 who does it like freelance because they're still in college. But they're all just like my peers, and I would say it's hard keeping up with the demand, especially because all of us we're all either disabled or neurodivergent in some way. And for me, I've been sick with mononucleosis since December 2019. So I've hardly sewn in the past year and a half. And most of my stuff has been made by my employees because I've been so sick. I think a big challenge is always financially, just trying to keep the balance, because I also do a lot of community work and also like donating a lot of things, but sometimes I donate a little bit too much things. But especially like when the pandemic started, it's like, just wanting to make as many face masks as possible just because it was so scary. And then in the US, with all of our Black Lives Matter protests, and like really wanting to make sure that those protests are safe and giving people a lot of access to masks there. So I was focusing a lot on that. So in this last year, I switched a lot of my production over to mask making, which was a totally different set of materials, because I basically only use spandex other than that, because I like the stretchiness and how then a lot of times you don't even need closures because it just stretches on to people. So yeah, I guess challenges is usually keeping up with demand while having like all employees and me being also disabled.
加油，要努力，希望你會揾到更加多人幫你啦，同埋希望你身體越嚟越好。
Yeah, I love your work so much, and I just feel like we're on the same wavelength, and like it's so exciting to me because yeah, like I think we have kind of different target audiences, like you have more older clientele, but like I love that so much, and I've wanted to break into doing more stuff for older folks, but sometimes people are kind of intimidated by my look, but I am excited because I will have some older models in the show in the Access Breach party. But when did you all start your clothing line, and how big is your production?
我哋2018年、17年開始正式設計生產啦。咁我哋有1-2個係專業嘅車板嘅員工嘅， 因為你頭先見到嘅衫唔係我哋啲訓練咗1-2年就可以做到，嗰啲婦女就可以做到嘅，咁咧要幾十年嘅車衣經驗先做得到。咁我哋都好開心啦，有好多各界朋友，即係有一啲紡織品咁，佢哋一諗到就拱俾我哋做，俾單我哋做。咁我哋如果好多單，我哋就希望可以分到俾我哋啲婦女，分唔同 part 去俾佢哋做。咁再可能複雜啲嘅就由我哋嗰啲專業嘅員工去做咯。咁我哋嘅都多嘅，我哋都係學你話齋就係COVID-19 嗰件事，我哋有一段時間都係咁車口罩，我哋大概有半年啦，係嘛？有半年嘅時間係車咗1萬多啲嘅口罩咁咯。就嗰段時間就大家放低晒所有嘢，就喺度係咁車口罩。係咁另外我都多謝你話由我哋令到你覺得可以做下長者嘅市場啦。咁其實我哋之前喺同Dr. Brenda 見面嘅時候，聽到你嘅工作同埋 Dr. Brenda 嘅工作，我哋都好啟發到其實我哋唔淨止係身體嘅一個障礙啦，可能有好多朋友喺選擇衣物嘅時候，喺香港一個比較叫做相對保守嘅地方，其實佢哋都好有困難。即係可能我想買女裝或者我想買男裝，可能其實都可能會受到好多人嘅白眼，或者甚至係淨係男女裝去分嘢成所有世界嘅所有嘢咁。我哋都覺得係喎，其實都真係有好多朋友仔可能係年老嘅，佢哋可能都其實而家都好想坦白咁啲去講自己，我究竟想要啲乜嘢，我想着啲乜嘢，我嘅取向係點，而佢哋可能會受到更加多人嘅去一啲限制。咁我哋都希望可以幫到呢一班朋友嘅，即係我哋覺得冇所謂。其實你嚟到你中意做咩衫，我哋有好多布好多款喺我哋嗰個 showroom 嗰度。你嚟到你中意揀咩係 no judgment 嘅，即係你想要做乜就做乜，即係呢個都係我哋想嘅嘢。因為我覺得我哋對到佢嘅關愛就係我哋俾到你想要嘅嘢嚟，而令到你開心有自信，你有尊嚴，就係我哋想做嘅嘢咯。
Yes. Oh, thank you so much to all of you, for the very inspiring sharing that you have given us. And indeed, as a collective, what Rebirth and Reese has just done today is to actually remind all of us, today and moving forward, that we have to continue breaking barriers. We provide care, but we also have to continue breaking barriers, because all of these barriers that are in front of us are also pulling us down, and it's not allowing us to fully care for ourselves and for others. And like, for example, like what you mentioned, the binariness, of choices is actually limiting a lot of the people here in Hong Kong, beyond Hong Kong. And what Reese and Rebirth has been doing already is to actually give people more options and to look beyond the binary, to actually realize that there are spectrums of possibilities out there. In fact, KJ and Ophelia, if you remember when we were discussing, I kind of asked that question because I also see that possibility that with Reese now here, doing garments for the elderly, for the carers, and that you said your choices go beyond the binary. You transcend the binary. I actually get so excited to know that there are queer, gender diverse, trans elderlies out there who at their twilight years will, I think, be very happy that at least they get to wear what makes them comfortable in the last years of their lives. And I think that means so much. And with that, I thank you all in advance for that. And I hope that you would continue with what you're doing. And there is a question earlier to Reese. They're asking, where can they actually buy garments from Reese?
我哋整理緊我哋嘅網站。會變成一個網上商店嘅，會變一個 online shop 嘅。咁一啲譬如飲食圍巾啦，咁會係現成可以買嘅。 咁但係如果係衫嗰部分，頭先我都有提過有啲度身嘅服務咧，咁嗰個可能你可以Facebook inbox 我哋啦。咁我哋因為係一個唔係買現成衫嘅一個過程啦，咁我哋可能有一個商議，即係大家傾下你想要啲咩要啲咩，咁希望可以幫到大家。咁主要都係喺我哋 Facebook 同埋 WhatsApp 可以聯絡到我哋。
And Sky, on your end, do you have any plans of also expanding Rebirth in the Philippines?
Oh, I mean, I would love to expand into the Philippines. I've never been able to visit because of my family. Like they were, very in politics before, and they all had to escape during Marcos's regime, and the current president there right now is too scary. So I have no clue if I'll ever actually be able to go back or go there ever, but I would love to be able to sell in the Philippines. I mean, I sell online, so I sell everywhere, and I have had some orders from the Philippines, but I know that with the conversion of the money conversion, it makes it very expensive. And I know that the Philippines has such a huge wealth gap. So I would love to be able to provide more accessibly priced options, definitely. I mean, everywhere. People are always welcome to message me if they need different prices, sliding scale or free. They can just email me and I can work it out with people. Especially in the last year, I just give as much as I can. But yeah, I've done lots of shows that are all Filipinx folks in the US, but that's a lot different than doing a show in the Philippines.
Yeah. Because that's my next question also, the affordability of the garments, right? I think people may also be asking because the garments look amazing, they look so chic, they look so empowering, but to some they might feel that they also look quite expensive. So you're assuring that they're affordable, right?
Yeah, so I try to keep it at an affordable price, but if there's ever an issue, people are always welcome to message me. So but I have a really simple bandeau style chest binders that start at $26 in the US, which for a chest binder that's custom fit to your size and in any colors, that's like pretty affordable compared to others. So but still anybody can message me, especially teenagers. Like I don't want their money, I just want them to have whatever they need, so I'll just mail it to them.
Actually, here in Hong Kong, Sky, we actually have a growing need for chest binders.
Cool.
Yes, so hopefully from this point moving forward, we can actually tell our Hong Kong market that you are among those who would actually be who have been making chest binders, right?
Yeah.
And
maybe at some point I could find somebody local and I can make copies of my patterns and then have them produced more locally, so it's not so expensive to ship.
我哋係可以幫忙喺呢個製作方面，即係如果 Sky 係有啲嘢想係製作嘅話，我哋係完全可以配合嘅。係如果係我哋呢個 area， 即係可能 Asia 亞洲嘅。
I would love that, and I would love to just collaborate with you all in general. I think it's so exciting to me, and I also love that you're like a family duo also. Like that's super cute, and like I'm really close to my mom, and like my chosen family. My cousin works for me now. He's like kind of my business manager person. So I would love to work with you all on anything, and like helping bring your work to the US, because I feel like it would be hugely popular, definitely.
Well, that collaboration is something that we will really look forward to. And Kadri and Ophelia, I have a question. There are some domestic helpers here in Hong Kong who may also benefit from some trainings with Reese. Do you think they would qualify also, and they can look for you to undergo some of your community outreach training programs?
可以啊，可以啊，我哋係非常之歡迎，我哋好想可以接觸到一啲唔同嘅族群、唔同嘅國籍啊、唔同人士，我哋都好想合作，但係即係可能一直都未有一個好好嘅溝通渠道，所以我哋都未有呢個機會。因為我哋覺得除咗做產品以外，其實我哋俾到嘅培訓嗰樣嘢係更加影響力係更加深遠，所以我哋好想做嘅呢樣。其實好希望 Dr. Brenda 可以幫忙介紹一下，我哋非常樂意係。
And you are right earlier with what you said about how the aging population of Hong Kong is going to be growing in the next few years. I think we will really be, that's the SIPO Aging Center's projection as well. So with that, I would like to ask if there are any more questions from our audience. I think
Dr. Brenda， 我仲諗過一樣嘢咧，係香港可能好多家傭啦，佢哋都有照顧老人家嘅經驗。其實我哋都好想可以聽到佢哋嘅分享，話到俾我哋聽啊，照顧老人家更加多一啲實每日發生嘅事，等我哋可以知道更加多設計上可以點幫到大家。
Yes, thank you, Kadri, for saying that, actually, because there is a strong sewing culture also in the dressmaking and sewing culture in the Philippines, and in Indonesia. Many of our domestic workers are from Indonesia and the Philippines, and that many of them do care for the elderly, and they care with so much passion, just like what Reese has been doing, and just like what Sky and Rebirth Garments has been doing. And so to put them in connection with you, one of these days is going to be something that we will all do in collaboration. And thank you so much for sharing and for doing that for us. Of course, to our audiences, the Facebook pages or the social media links of our panelists are being shared with you at the moment. I hope you'll be able to find them also on different social media platforms. Feel free to connect with them and to ask them questions if you want to after the session. And with that, I would like to say thank you, Kadri and Ophelia and Reese, and to the entire staff of Reese for doing the work that you do. We wish you, of course, more a greater power, and we are here to support you, and we are here to share to everyone the work that you do. And to Sky, maraming salamat. Thank you so much. And I wish you get well soon. And thank you also to Sandra and to everyone there at Rebirth Garments. And can you promote the upcoming fashion event that you'll be hosting for us?
Yeah, so it's called Access Breach, and it's at Eaton Hotel, and it's on July 2nd for Hong Kong folks, but July 1st for Chicago. I can't remember what the timing is because I'm confused about the timing. But it will be super fun. We're gonna have, I think, eight models, and it'll be a dance party. There's gonna be some voguing performances. Then afterwards, there's going to be an after party. People can stick around and get some drinks if they want to. And the, I think, was it Trouble Baby, Bad Baby? What's the place called? Horrible Baby. I can't remember. Terrible Baby.
Terrible Baby. Yes, Terrible Baby. Yes.
It's such a funny.
Yeah, chat is sharing. It's on the website of chat. So to all of our panelists, please always feel free to check the website of chat for updates. And that will be coming soon. And there are some more panels. But before I hand you over to Bruce to close our panel for today, I would like to say thank you once more to Sky and Rebirth and Rebirth Garments, and congratulations, and thank you for caring and for sharing with us, the great work that you do. Thank you to KG and Ophelia,
Thank you.
and
Thank you.
and
Thank you.
thank you to Reese. Thank you so much. And what I learned about today's session, well, I learned a lot, of course. I learned new things, but most of all, I learned that we should never stop caring. I know that our session, our panel is called Care and Technology. So everybody who's attending here may likely understand the technology of garment making and textile and manufacturing, but I think we are taking away today a great deal, and that is that beyond care, we can do so much if we actually put our heart and soul in what we do. I'm very grateful for the invitation that was extended to me by Chat, because because I teach and I talk about intersectionality in gender studies. But what I just told Bruce and Eugenia also a month ago was what they didn't know. My mother was also a dressmaker, and I felt that there is the same amount of principles of care that she has poured in everything that she's been doing. She actually made everything that she wears, her bags, her purses. And because we come from a very poor family in the Philippines, we grew up poor in the Philippines. The clothes that she would make, the bags that she would make for herself and for mine, was such a great deal of positive care for me. And it also allowed me to positively identify myself. And today we also touched into the intersectionalities of gender, and abilities and disabilities. And that in society, unfortunately, gender and the spectrum of gender, as well as the experiences of abilities and disabilities, is not discussed so extensively and sometimes even ignored. That we need, to more care. And so today's panel brought us a lot of knowledge on this end, and hopefully Hong Kong society, the US, the Philippine society, and beyond are going to actually give their very heart and soul into the work that they do, so that care and technology can actually be transcended. And with that, thank you. I am Brenda Alegre. I hand you over to Bruce to close the session.